Okay, hello everybody. Thank you for joining us. We have two guests today from Tahoma Peak Solutions. We have Nora and Elizabeth, which we are very excited to talk about the Native Grown and Gathered project today. So, if we could start with some introductions, Nora, could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely. My name is Nora Frank-Buckner. I'm a member of the Nez Perce tribe and a descendant of the Klamath tribe. And I am the director of food sovereignty programs with Tahoma Peak Solutions. And I also am the project manager for Native Grown and Gathered.
Yay, and Elizabeth?
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Campbell. I'm Spokane and Kalispell, and I'm a food sovereignty specialist with Tahoma Peak Solutions.
Fantastic. Well, it's wonderful to be able to work with both of you amazing ladies and record this podcast episode. So, the first question is, can you explain what food sovereignty is and why it's important right?
Food sovereignty is our inherent right to locally produce and have equal access to our own traditional, culturally appropriate foods to sustain ourselves and our communities. I think it's especially important right now because our communities face some of the highest rates of diet-related diseases like diabetes, obesity, heart disease, as well as food insecurity. A lot of our tribal families live in what's considered food deserts, where there's not a lot of good quality food that's easily accessible. Access to our traditional foods and our medicines helps to reclaim our cultural identity. It improves our physical, mental, even dental health, and can reduce depression and anxiety.
Just to add to that, it's really about reclaiming that right to nourish our communities in a way that is culturally aligned to our land and to our ancestors, and thinking about what our communities are facing along with those health disparities, right? Like rising food costs or supply chain disruptions that we saw during the pandemic, and other health disparities that stem from being disconnected from those foods. And so I think it's also really about restoring that intergenerational knowledge that colonization tried to disrupt. And it's healing work, it's community care, it's climate action, it's self-determination, kind of like all wrapped up into one big movement.
Hey, thanks. And can you explain a little bit about why it is so important right now and why there seems to be a lot of work and energy in this area?
I can take that the first stab of answering that one. I think in Elizabeth's description of um, addressing health disparities and chronic disease prevention, especially through the lens that I think myself and Elizabeth come from, or like health educators at heart. I come from a public health background, and when we've worked with tribes here in the Northwest, particularly when we were working on projects around chronic disease prevention, it always seemed to come back to the food system. And so I've seen tribes, when addressing it through kind of that public health lens, they really took on the cultural aspect of that and using culture as prevention, and that includes traditional foods. That includes learning the teachings of those foods and just reconnecting our youth to that as well. And so whether that was tribes building community gardens or farms, or doing more hunting and gathering and fishing and reconnecting to those ancestral foodways, that I think has become really to the forefront of a lot of the work that I've seen going on. And so, why is it kind of this big movement? I think people have just been really interested in reclaiming their food systems at a local or regional level across, across cultures, not just native food sovereignty movements, but also I just think at the local regional level, we've been exposed to big ag for so long that I think we're ready to focus more locally, just as a country itself. Anything to add, Elizabeth?
Yeah, I would just say that you're exactly right, Nora. I think what's been done isn't working, and people are realizing that. We've got all these high rates of diseases and, food-related diseases that we can avoid. Even with aquaculture, they're finding that some of these ancient clam garden beds are more productive than what is happening, nowadays. And so Even in aquaculture, they're going back to these traditional ways of working with nature, working with soil, and it's going to bring our health back. It's going to make us strong and healthy, vibrant people again.
Hey, thanks, guys. So the next question is, can you tell us a little bit about the Native Grown and Gathered project? This is the big thing that Sister Sky and Tahoma Peak has been working on.
Absolutely. Yes. So Native Grown and Gathered is one of our initiatives that began as that regional initiative in Washington State. So it was in a partnership with Feed Seven Generations, which is a nonprofit here in Washington that's tribal led, and then the city of Seattle. And so it was an assessment with Native food producers, Native food and farm businesses around like what are your needs and opportunities here when it comes to building up your business, scaling it up, training, grant funding, what just trying to find the pain points, but also opportunities. And so a really exciting thing happened is that we got to partner with the Regional Food Business Center here in the Northwest and Rocky Mountain regions. And they wanted to expand it into Idaho, Oregon, Montana, Colorado, and Wyoming. And so we were able to expand that assessment and dive deeper with food producers from all of those states. And so what we were seeking to understand is how could we better support our Native entrepreneurs in the food and farm world, and how could the Regional Food Business Center in particular be of assistance. And so when we did that, there were a lot of things that bubbled up to the surface, that being wanting to connect more Native to Native, right? Native business to Native business, and learn from one another. There was a need for training and technical assistance that was particularly Native led by other Native business owners or excuse me, or other technical assistance providers that are in that space. And so that's where the really exciting partnership with you all at Sister Sky came to be, to help those Native food business folks, that we created a cohort of 15 different businesses here in the region. Wow, just what an amazing service you all have done to walk them through that Native Business Canvas tool and help them, whether they were just starting out or wanting to refresh their business or just scale up. You guys were there to like really walk them through how to think through that. And I've just been really blown away by your team's attention to detail in providing that top tier technical support around building business, grant writing. It's just been really phenomenal. And then just truly appreciative of the time Sister Sky has put into this project as well. And so, yeah, it's been more than just a training or one-off, technical assistance, right? We've built this network. It's a relationship and that kinship energy that we're like really building trust and learning together and dreaming big. And so I just really appreciate, partnerships like that with Sister Sky, who really do understand unique challenges and strengths that Native entrepreneurs carry, because it is different than a lot of other types of sectors out there. Yeah. So just that was a lot. And I will say as well that we have a directory on our website. So nativegrownandgathered.com. There's a directory on that website that lists all of the businesses that we talked to throughout that assessment. And it includes our cohort members as well. And so you get to learn about what businesses they have, what's their website, how can you get a hold of them. So it's a great way to also just connect there as well. And what else? I think I'll pause. Getting all lost in the sauce there for a second.
That was great, Nora.
Yeah, thanks, Nora, for the Sister Sky shout out. I think we were really, really excited to partner with you all on the Native Grown and Gathered project. And as Nora said, this project grew out of some really, really strong data and assessment that the Tahoma Peak Solutions team put together. Like, these are things that folks have been talking about in Washington state and really across Indian country of, Native entrepreneurs need specialized TA assistance because there's a wide range of reasons. You know, a few of them being that we're the most underbanked communities. So we're very rural, and big banks generally do not have branches out on reservations. And in addition, you know, if you want to try to open up a business on a reservation, there are other business licenses and rules and laws that you need to follow. And so Sister Sky's TA approach is really built on 10 plus years of having experience navigating these systems and helping Native folks through in a way that's very strengths based and positive, and from a indigenous, culturally informed like base. And so when Tahoma Peak approached us, when Nora and Elizabeth, I think it was at a conference, and Nora came up and was like, hey, can we talk? And initially said like, hey, we want to partner with you on this. We were so excited at Sister Sky. You know, just because I do come from like the business, the SBA stuff, indigenous entrepreneurs represent less than half a percentage of all business owners in the United States. So being able to take 15 folks through a training that is supported by Tahoma Peak, this amazing indigenous woman-led firm that is really, really firmly rooted in indigenous communities across, the United States, that's going to support these 15 folks is really exciting. So we really enjoyed it. We really love working with the cohort. And so we were excited when Tahoma Peak said we want to do a cohort model. We think that that's really informed by Indigenous values and helps the entrepreneur be more successful by building up, now my mind is blanking. See, this is good while we can edit stuff back. I'm going to start over on that one. Tahoma Peak, we were really excited when Tahoma Peak approached us and suggested doing a cohort model for these 15 entrepreneurs. We feel that a cohort model is very based in Indigenous values, and supporting each other is so important in tribal communities, and not approaching it from a very competitive kind of mindset that quite often can happen in other kind of business training aspects and worlds. And so we really feel like being in a cohort model, a supportive community, helps build the entrepreneur's confidence to take the steps forward into business ownership if they want to seek capital, if they want to go into partnerships with other businesses. So it was really cool. We got to take 15 folks through about 4 months of training. We did it all on their time. So it was completely customized to folks wanted to meet in the evenings. Folks wanted to meet on the weekday. We were also really mindful that these are ag people. So meeting in the beginning of summer is kind of a crazy time. So being really customizable in how we took this approach. So we made sure that we recorded things. There was an online learning management system set up just for this cohort so that folks could access it. And we also, Sister Sky was very mindful of making sure that we were putting as much information as possible that was really relevant. And it was also cool. We got to bring in like guest speakers, that Native business owners that got to speak to the cohort. So it was really, really fun. That's from the Sister Sky opinion, or the Sister Sky approach. Okay, can you guys tell us about the expo? Because all of this has been many different projects coming together into a huge celebration, the Native Grown and Gathered Expo.
Yeah, the expo, yes. Yes, exactly that. It's a celebration of all that work. So it's where the cohort members and other vendors as well, right? It doesn't just have to be the cohort. We're looking for up to around 50 native vendors to be there. So if you're interested, please reach out. But it's for them to showcase their their products, tell their stories, and connect with buyers, funders, other Native community members, all who are ready to invest in Indigenous food systems. So it is happening October 1st through 3rd in Seattle, Washington at the Bell Harbor Conference Center, right there along the waterfront in downtown Seattle. And this is the really exciting part. It's going to be during the Muckleshoot and Suquamish tribes fishing season. So we will see in real time tribal food sovereignty in action. And if we're super lucky, we'll get fresh fish thrown right up to us on the pier, and people aren't going to want to miss that, right? And so we'll have a variety of vendors. We're looking at having various native-owned food trucks, apothecaries or botanicals, farmers, value-added folks, fishermen, all kinds. So we're just really excited to be able to celebrate the beauty and excitement of native food. Anything to add, Elizabeth?
We're hoping to connect, yeah, buyers with producers. And there's also going to be different types of tribal business. And I'm forgetting the word now, but we're going to have a whole tract on how to access capital. So we'll have different banks there that work with tribal businesses and yeah, lots of delicious things to taste. We'll have some cattle ranchers and some buffalo and all kinds of great things to sample. Chef demonstrations. It's going to be wonderful.
Tell us, do you have the like original birth story of this expo? Like how did it come into be? Who was like, "Yeah, let's do this."
Think so, we've as a team and like colleagues over the last 10, 15 years have done various types of food sovereignty gatherings that you've also attended yourself before and held conferences. But this one felt different. And so after we had done this assessment and we were reporting back out to tribal communities and to our funders, and I remember being at the Affiliated Tribes of Northwest Indians. I think it was their Portland convention one in the winter. Maybe it was last year. And just as I was talking through, the slide deck and all of these different uh, needs and opportunities and what entrepreneurs are really looking for, and one of those things being that native to native connection, like getting the native foods to native people. And one of my other observations was that going to large trade shows, like let's just, for example, and not bashing it in any way, but like a fancy food show where it's really expensive to get into something like that. You're putting up thousands of dollars of your own funding to, get in for like register yourself, the travel, taking your product all the way there, and then you're like pitching it, right? So during this presentation, I just mentioned, you know what, maybe we just need a native foods expo and we're just going to have our own and do it the way we want to do it. And so from that moment, we have just like a really visionary team naturally. And so it was like, yeah, let's do it. What does it look like? And the Regional Food Business Center was very supportive, thought it was a great idea. And we've just been working on it ever since. Yeah, we really want to take the barriers away to cost. I mentioned we're still looking for vendors. We're not charging them a registration fee or only a $50 deposit to hold their space. We are supporting the cohort in their travel so they don't have to spend, additional funding on travel. The first 25 vendors that we do get signed up are going to be able to work with a creative director to create a backdrop and tablecloth. So that's about, a few $100 investment right there that they get to take with them. They have access to all these other technical assistance resources from all over the region. In addition, they get to sell their product if that's what they want to do, or if they just want to give out samples and do like a test run of a new recipe, they can do that. Like, sure, do a new, market testing if you'd like. But anyway, it's just an opportunity to really just do it the way we want to do it, rooted in cultural values, have cultural performances there as well, and just, yeah, just a big celebration and movement.
Elizabeth, did you have anything?
Nothing further at this moment. No, I think that was great. Oh man.
And
Yeah.
I just love that it was like, hey, we should do one. We should have our own food expo and let's put it in downtown Seattle, like this historic place that we all like tribes used to come and be together. And so it's like and all around food, so having those connections and those threads of just we want to do it, darn it, and then you did it. Well, it's going to be done in like 3 months or so. Wait, 4 months? Are we 4 months away?
Oh gosh, I don't know if I want the countdown number at the moment.
Well, as an attendee of multiple Tahoma Peak Solutions conferences, I gotta say the ladies put on a great conference. It is a ton of fun. It's a celebration of all things that go into native food. So, not just the actual sort of like agriculture kind of way that we think of food of like I guess, I don't know, conventionally grown stuff in a garden. But also, as Nora said, everything that goes into food, including culture, language, relationality, not only to like other tribes, other peoples, but our relationship with plants, animals, the territories, world around us. All of that is a part of the native grown and gathered Expo, which is really unique and something that you're not going to get at Fancy Food Expo, and that you might not get at a native conference like, I don't want to bash anybody either, at like a Res or ATNI or something like that. Like, this is really in depth into who we are as our food. And so, and as Elizabeth said, there's going to be separate tracks. So you'll have the folks that want to dive deep into business development. What does that look like? Accessing capital. How do you think about running your business indigenously? To like the actual people that are putting the food on the plate. Chef takeovers is going to be happening. I had to explain this one of my relatives yesterday what a chef takeover was, and I was like, just the Indians are going to be in the kitchen cooking food. Like, that's all you need to know.
It's gonna be delicious. That's all I
It
know.
is going to be good. And then I even saw that there's going to be a track because thinking about our food, it's everything from our relationship with the land to getting it to also now that we exist in the United States as sovereign nations. What does it look policy wise? And so that's going to be included in the expo too, which is really exciting of like, how can we protect our inherent rights as Indigenous people since time immemorial to be in relationship with our foods? Um, there's just everything. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a great time. Anything else you want to add on the expo? Anything like secret stuff that folks can look forward to?
Oh man, there's just so many awesome elements that they're not gonna want to miss out on. We're gonna have pop-up market. What else? You just mentioned the chef takeovers. We have some really awesome keynote folks lined up, one of them being Sean Sherman, the sous chef. Yeah. And then I believe Mariah Gladstone just said yes. So another awesome chef. And we just have a really awesome lineup of speakers and presenters that, some might be really familiar with that you've seen other larger conferences and maybe some you don't know about, like up and coming like chefs that are geared up and ready to go. Uh, yeah. I mean, there's just the one you don't want to miss.
Here's another question for you both. So, who would you want to tell like make sure you're here? Are there specific folks that you're like you do not want to miss out on this if you are a blank?
I think any indigenous food producers, whether they are in aquaculture, fisheries, farming, any kind of food production, bison, come, be here, be part of it, bring something to sample or sell too, or just come to taste everybody else's. But yeah, you don't want to miss it. Chefs, yeah, we want everybody.
Absolutely. Yes. So even if I know this is very business focused and entrepreneur focused, although we do have a track, focused on our grassroots initiatives, our tribal nonprofit programs. And so if you're in that space, we want those folks to come too, because there's a really important piece to all of that community level work. Um, and so please come join us and celebrate, and it'll be fun.
So, how about for that last track, the kind of nonprofit grassroots policy? Are there anybody in that group that you would say, oh, yeah, make sure you're coming for that? Like, I'm thinking tribal politicians, tribal council, heads of tribal departments. Are they an intended audience at all?
I would say yes. So if they are tribal leaders on tribal council or uh, those running some of those food sovereignty programs or nutrition programs for their tribe, I think it would be really important for them to be there to connect either with maybe a producer who might be able to be someone they can source from, or even just to learn more from those Native nonprofit folks who are also, funders. Like if we have First Nations Development Institute there, Intertribal Agriculture Council, Native American Agriculture Fund, like I think it's just an important networking area as well to be in the know about like what's up and coming in that space for sure.
Right. And I love that we have that little asterisk of, this was born out of uh assessment that said native producers need to be able to access the buyers more easily. But really, business in Indian country is so much different than business, like capital B business, because it's steeped in who we are as indigenous people, and doing business in Indian country means knowing who's your family. Do you go to this powwow? What tribe are you from? And it's building relationships and it's building trust. And that's part of like the excitement, I think, as somebody who's going to be attending the trade show, is just being able to go and be in community and meet people and joke and laugh and have good food together. And I think our cohort was already kind of starting to do that. Like day one of our training, they were like, "You have fish? I need fish at my restaurant. Do you trade? Oh, yeah, I'll trade. I'll do a deal with you." And so, I think Tahoma Peak being able to create that space for like that indigenous way of doing business is so, so important. And then also acknowledging that like the big buzzword right now is the tribal economic ecosystem. And so acknowledging that like it's not just a business to business way of thinking about it, but like how is tribal food code supporting this? How is tribal council supporting business development on reservations or with tribal citizens? How can nonprofits be supported by more tribal producers providing to their programs, whether or not that's just through the actual physical food being given to elders programs, youth programs, schools, but like, is there technical knowledge that could be shared as well? Could farmers be supported in providing workshops or trainings to school students? So all of that though is built upon relationships and being in relation with people and having fun and telling jokes and being in downtown Seattle watching people throw fish up from their boats and having good food. So that's my one reason why I'm so excited for the expo. So the last question here is just, can you tell us how Native Grown and Gathered, the project, and the expo support food sovereignty?
Yeah, absolutely. I can take a stab at that and let Elizabeth chime in too. Well, first, I think it meets people where they're at. So whether it's someone making herbal teas at home or growing out a full-scale farm or ranch, these projects, I think, really validate and elevate their work. And I think that's food sovereignty. So giving, our people the tools and resources to really thrive on their own terms and what it means for them. I mean, that came through in our assessment as well, is, sure, economics of it obviously is important if that's their livelihood, but also there were other metrics for success for them. So that exact thing you were talking about, bartering or trading, or how much they could donate to their own community or to their local tribal nonprofit or native school. It was really important for them to be able to do that more often as well. So scaling up in those ways too. So I think a lot of that's also centered in indigenous knowledge, and that's so key when doing this work. And so every decision that we make in these particular projects is also guided by our own cultural values and our traditional ecological knowledge, and making sure that we're not trying to fit ourselves into the exact mold of mainstream food systems, but that we're creating, or uh, maybe not creating, but we're trying to be like what's the word I'm looking for? Reclaiming. That's the word I was looking for. Trying to reclaim our own food system that's based in that respect for the land, and our also like the responsibility to our future generation. And so That is how I think it's related to tribal food sovereignty, and that's why I'm so dang passionate about it. Because all of you are too.
Yeah, and that was perfect, Nora. I would just add that, we have 3 chances to vote every day, with our basic 3 meals that we're having, voting with our fork, and to be able to put that money, how we're choosing to spend it back in our tribal communities, I think is so important. So whenever we have the opportunity to support locally, wherever you are, trying to do so and vote with your fork every day.
I love it. And being able to find the people that you can vote with through coming to the expo, you can do that. I don't know the number of times that somebody's reached out to me and been like, hey, I want to do this project. Do you know a native chef or do you know a native garden that can help us with this project? Go to the Native Grown and Gathered database or marketplace guide. There's a whole list of them there, and then come and meet them at the expo. It's going to be great. Okay, so the last question for our podcast, I'm throwing this on Nora and Elizabeth. I sent them questions ahead of time, but now I'm just riffing here. What's your favorite first food?
My goodness. So hard to choose which one. I always tease Elizabeth and like Elise and Val. I'm always like, it's not seaweed, not that. But then they changed my mind at a recent seaweed workshop. I was like, oh, that's fine actually. But I would say for me, my favorite is pretty, standard salmon and huckleberries. Like I love it so much. And then a close, like recent one has been camas. I've had a lot of opportunities in the past year to have that, and it's just been really tasty.
Yum, Camus. Okay. Elizabeth, what's yours?
I would have to say my favorite is mountain huckleberry. I do love smoked salmon and oysters and seaweeds of all kinds. Of course, meat, deer, elk, buffalo, you name it. But I always have room for mountain huckleberries. They're my favorite. There's so many different varieties, and I just look forward to it every year, getting up into the mountains with my family and harvesting as much as we can. Yeah, love that.
Yum, and it is almost huckleberry time, or it maybe is huckleberry time in certain spots. I'm gonna answer just because I got to. You guys, I'm so hungry and now I'm thinking about all different foods. I think my most favorite is it's called meat macaroni. It's literally just meat and macaroni in a soup. Sometimes people call it like hangover soup. It's not like a first food, I guess. So I'm kind of like going off the script, but like elk meat with elk meat bone broth and macaroni noodles. That's all it is. So good.
Sounds delicious.
But I think like if I follow the rules to my own game and actually only have first foods, Chef Lynette at Fireweed Bakery makes this amazing hummus flour cake with huckleberry reduction glaze that goes on the top. And oh my goodness, it is so good. So she takes the camas bulbs. I don't know what her process is that she turns it into an actual flour and then she turns it into like this cute little cake thing. And then she makes a huckleberry and reduction drizzle. And it's so fancy and it's so cool. And I remember the first time I had it, it was like plated because, she's like a fancy trained chef. So it was like all plated and it had like a little leaf on it and like the drizzle. So it looked really fancy. And we were at an event and there was a bunch of kids from Welpinit next to me and we are getting it. And the kids were like, whoa, what's this? And they're eating it and they're like, wow, it's really good. And she goes, oh yeah, it's camas. They're like, what? New camas could like be so good and fancy and like so yummy. And
Yeah, it's like next level elevation of the first food, which I love. And I hope she brings it to the expo.
shouting out Chef Lynette, the Fireweed Bakery, Spokane, Washington. She's at the expo. She'll be there. So if you want to come meet Lynette. All right. Well, thank you both for your time today. That was so much fun. We will see everybody at the Native Grown and Gathered Expo, October 1st through the 3rd at Bell Harbor, downtown Seattle. All right. See you guys later.
Thank you, Leah.
Thank